And I'd like to invite everyone to think very intentionally about all of the concepts that have already been put on the table. The idea of moving from, building capacity to move from being sort of more dependent to less dependent on supports, the partnerships that are needed to do that. We're going to have a lot more conversation about that. And I just think there are so many rich nuggets that we can put together and are really going to help us move this initiative forward. But let's just kind of level set and reminisce a little bit or celebrate where we've come from, because I think we've used this better part of the first year of planning to do some really impressive things. And I think we're in a good position to move into years 2 and 3. Just a reminder to everyone that the National Community Action Partnership is playing the role of the Center of Excellence for the HCCT initiative. And so there's some language on this slide, but here's how I would describe the partnership's role. We just want to keep the ideas flowing, because the ideas, the activities, the outcomes, all of the work is happening and has been happening for a long time throughout our network. What we want to do as the Center of Excellence is try to help lift up some of the really high impact transformational work and share it with the rest of the network, promote it. If you don't want to toot your own horn, we will do that for you. And also help local agencies and local communities kind of pick those initiatives apart and figure out how can we do that same thing here. So that's what the Center of Excellence is. It's really a communications hub to keep all this great information flowing across our network. And what a strong network we have, and that's been built up over the past decades. And so the key way that we'll be doing that is using the language of HCCT highlighted initiatives. And I know we've had some conversations about those and what they might look like. We've had some conversations about some specific ones. We're now in the phase of putting pen to paper and identifying what are those really transformational things that we as an entire network want to lift up. And so that's sort of going to be our love language, if I can use that expression. It's going to be the way we really talk to one another as we talk about HCCT and what our network can do. It's going to be in the language of these very specific initiatives that have had success and that we can repeat in communities all across the country. So sort of in broad overview, just to clarify a little more concretely what I mean when I talk about these initiatives. These initiatives are going to be focusing on high impact work and transformative work. We know that community action does a lot of important and in many cases life-saving things in the community. And I want to appreciate what Director Carter said about the fact that we know that some members of our communities are always going to need support, whether it's because of an individual condition, a situation, or maybe a crisis. But our goal is to build resilient, supportive communities that allow everyone to flourish, no matter their individual characteristics or position. And so the really high impact transformative work is the work that is moving communities in that direction. And we know that that's already been happening throughout our network. And we're hoping that we'll have well over 100 such initiatives that we'll be able to highlight and share. The HCCT project calls for at least one highlighted initiative in every state. So we're going to have at least 50 for sure. But I think anyone who's been part of the Community Action Network knows that even within a state, there is fierce competition among our local agencies as to the successful initiatives that are in place and that folks want highlighted. So we expect that there will be more than one from each state, and probably over 100. So we'll find out very soon how many of those we'll have. Then I want to also make sure we talk about the second key pillar of HCCT, which is the capacity building side. And you'll notice this really parallels the work that community action does in the community. We have to transform communities, but we also have to build our capacity to do that transformation and to sustain it. And that's not just our own capacity as a network, but also supporting the capacity building of our partners and community members. So that's part of our work. Part of our work is to achieve our potential as a network and to build up all of our agencies. Because one of the things that I think we all value and love about community action is that community action is in every community in America, or 99% of the counties, but we touch just about every community in America. And because we touch every community, that means every resident. And that means every individual in our society should be able to know that there's a community action agency that serves their community that is there for them and is strong and resilient and supporting community transformation. And so that's our responsibility as a network to support one another, to build up our entire network. So just to put the timeline up, to remind everyone, we've got 3 years to change the world, and we're going to accomplish a lot in those 3 years. We're coming to the close of our first year, the planning year, and we're right on track with where we want to be. Year 2 is starting in fiscal year 2021, so that'll be October. And that's when we're going to start rolling out these initiatives and highlighting them and sharing them and talking about them and sort of, beginning to think about, I wonder if I could do that in my community, and then reflecting on what we need to do to implement them. And then as we get into year 3, we'll continue doing that work and start doing more reflecting on how successful we've been and where there are some opportunities to move this project farther forward. I want to acknowledge all the important actors in HCCT. I've already talked about the Center of Excellence, the COE. That's the pink bubble on the chart. But as I said, we're just the Community Action Partnership is just sort of a hub to try to connect the other actors. And so you've heard from one of our key partners in this, the Office of Community Services. It's clear we're on the same page, and both very enthusiastic about supporting this project. And then at the more local level or the regional level, the RPICs are really leading the HCCT initiative from a regional perspective. And I want to take a moment to thank the leadership that our RPIC leads have been exercising, not just over the past few months with HCCT, but for years before that. It's really a great opportunity to better integrate the work that we do as a network, and the RPICs have done some incredible training and technical assistance work at a regional level. But then where the rubber meets the road and where the work gets done is within the state and local communities. And so our state offices, our state associations, are critical partners, and then of course our local agencies. You put those bubbles together, and you have a really powerful network moving in the same direction, and advancing some common principles and values around community change. And then I also want to make sure that everyone's aware of 2 groups from those bubbles, representing all of those different circles in one way or another. 2 groups that have really been helping to guide this initiative, and have been doing it largely in addition to other responsibilities that they have, whether it's leading a local agency or a state association, overseeing a state office, or playing another critical role in the network. That's the CSBG working group that's focusing on the capacity building sorts of issues, and the HCCT steering committee, which has been providing guidance and support to the initiative itself. Both of those groups have been meeting since earlier this year, and they'll continue to represent the network and to guide us forward. I mentioned this earlier, so I won't elaborate too much more on it. And for those of you that have seen these presentations, you may have seen this very slide. Again, the focus of HCCT is the initiatives, the highlighted initiatives, and then building the capacity to implement those initiatives. So I want to reinforce that HCCT is really going to be transformative, because we're going to build our capacity to do that work, and then to sustain it moving forward. So again, just like we work with families and communities to build capacity so that we can transform their lives and their civic life, that's exactly what we'll be doing. We do with our communities, not for. And as I sort of bring this to an end, I just want to remind everyone that the thing that really makes HCCT work, sort of the secret sauce to our recipe, is the fact that we combine the HC and the CT. Human capacity is central. Helping to build up, support, open up opportunities for individuals and families. That's at the heart of what we do. But in doing that, we learn a lot about just why folks face the struggles that they do. And it might be the benefits cliff. It might be the way we implement programs. It might be services that aren't available in the community. Could be a lot of things. But that's why we also have to focus on the community transformation, the community level change, the systems level change, to help create an environment that is more supportive. And so HCCT is about linking those together so that we're constantly reflecting on both the family level and the community level, and making sure that they inform one another. And that's really at the heart of what community action has always been about when you think about our history. So this initiative is the right thing for our network at the right time. This is what community action is all about. I've spoken about capacity building, so I won't say more about that. But do just want to note from this slide that when we talk about capacity, we're talking about a lot of different things that we need to do. And so pay attention as we move into our presentations about all the different areas of capacity building that are going to be opportunities for our network. Finally, I just want to remind everyone about our accomplishments over the past year. We've got a state TNTA plan template that will help state offices and state associations develop TNTA plans. We have a messaging toolkit that's available on our HCCT landing page that can help you communicate what HCCT is to stakeholders. We have the selection criteria that will be circulating very soon. It's final, so we'll be getting that out to you very soon. And at the local level for agencies, we've developed the community assessment toolkit for COVID, so that can be done very quickly and easily. And we also have a fiscal training, a video series that we produced just in the past few months. So we've got some tools out there, and we're looking forward to helping the network with some additional resources. Just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what's currently available.